Coming up in this episode of In Clear Focus,
they're expecting just over 26,000 people to attend, and registration this year was actually up by 20%.
Going in, you think like, okay, yeah, we'll make some signage, we'll do some lanyards, and we're good to go. But it's way more than that. It's way more than that.
It takes your creativity to a whole nother level. It opens so many possibilities design-wise, and it's very exciting.
You're listening to In Clear Focus, fresh perspectives on the business of advertising, produced weekly by Bigeye, a strategy-led full-service creative agency growing brands for clients globally. Hello, I'm your host, Adrian Tennant, Chief Strategy Officer. Thank you for joining us. We're recording today's podcast at Coverings, an annual international trade show and conference dedicated to the ceramic tile and natural stone industry. It's being held at the Orange County Convention Center here in Orlando, Florida. To discuss what it's like to attend Coverings and learn about Bigeye's involvement in designing and developing marketing materials to support the event, I'm joined by three guests. Christina Rexford is the principal of Christina Rexford Designs, based in Orlando and currently working in interiors. Welcome to In Clear Focus, Christina.
Thank you.
Carly Conrad is an account manager at Bigeye and has worked closely with the Coverings event management team. Hi, Carly.
Hello, hello.
Rhett Withy is Bigeye's art director, who this year celebrates 10 years with the agency. Hi, Rhett.
Howdy.
Carly, let's start with you. Could you tell us what Coverings is?
Absolutely. Coverings is the largest tile and stone trade show in North America, featuring more than 1,000 global exhibitors from 40 countries. The event brings together industry professionals, including manufacturers, distributors, retailers, contractors, architects, designers, and builders to showcase their latest products, innovations, and technologies. Coverings provides a platform for attendees to network, share ideas, and learn about the latest trends and developments in the tile and stone industry. The show features a wide variety of exhibitors, educational sessions, hands-on workshops, and design challenges, making it an important event for those involved in the tile and stone market. This year, it's being held April 18th through the 21st here in Orlando.
Carly, what has Bigeye's involvement looked like for this year's Coverings?
Bigeye developed the exposition brand identity and built out additional collateral, including web graphics, print ads, social graphics, and even items needed for the show like attendees badges, along with lots of other things.
And as the account manager, what has your role been specifically?
As an account manager, I'm the agency voice to the client and the client voice to the agency. I, along with our account specialist, Sophia, make sure that all of the pieces of the project are running on time, in scope, and meet client expectations. So I work with the client to find out what is needed for a certain project and then take that to our internal team, work with our project management team to route it to all the necessary people in the agency, and then get it back to the client.
How have you facilitated communication between the creative team and the Coverings event management team to ensure that we kept within scope and delivered on time?
We utilize an online project management platform called Basecamp to keep an open line of communication. Basecamp helps us share proofs and receive feedback from the client while keeping everything organized in threads. Sophia and I also meet with the client weekly to touch base on items currently in production and keep an eye on what was coming up on the horizon.
Well, I had an opportunity to explore the event this morning, and it's huge. There are over 1,000 exhibitors from over 40 countries. Now, do you know how many attendees the organizers were expecting?
Yes, actually, they're expecting just over 26,000 people to attend, and registration this year was actually up by 20% over 2019, which was their benchmark year as they returned to pre-COVID operations this year.
Well, how did you keep the project on track?
This project definitely had a lot of moving parts, especially in the beginning. There were a lot of times when we were handling initial design, revisions, and final files for different projects all at the same time. And sometimes one small change on one piece would affect several others, even ones that had already been finalized. Sophia and I used Asana to make sure we always knew the status of every piece that was in production. And it was great to be able to see everything at a glance as well.
Well, as the client's representative within the agency, in what kinds of ways did you ensure that the creative team captured the key messages and goals of the Coverings event?
The trickiest part was maintaining the messaging for the different audiences and always making sure that the most current messaging was being used. We had a brand messaging document that was constantly being updated, so the creative team always had the most recent copy to pull from.
Are there any insights or lessons learned from our collective experience this year that you might recommend we apply to next year's event?
We will definitely be shifting to a ticket-based system for project management like Asana for the production work next year. There were times when we would be working on 10 or 15 different pieces at any given time, and Asana really lends itself to fast-paced, detailed work like that.
Over to Christina. Now, you work in interior design and you've been attending coverings today, but this is not your first time at a coverings event, correct?
No, it is not.
So tell us a little bit about your previous experience with coverings.
Well, I've gone a couple times. Usually when it's in Orlando, I have not gone to the other locations of the show. And it's always impressive, but it's at a whole new level. And I think those years, probably a couple years during COVID that they couldn't come out, they had a lot of wonderful things in the works. And you're seeing them on today. I know last year I wasn't able to go, but I'm excited to be able to see what I saw today. Yeah.
Now, you're the principal of Christina Rexford Designs. I know you have a strong multidisciplinary background that includes graphic design, illustration, jewelry design, and photography. Now, today you're working on several interior projects. How does coming to an event like Coverings support your design practice?
It's huge because it takes your creativity to a whole nother level, because now you're seeing the products and the fabrication of products align with your imagination that you couldn't even imagine. And I guess it's a hard way to explain it, but it opens so many possibilities design-wise, and it's very exciting. And when you do multiple mediums in design, I love fabrics, I love this, I love that, and you're finding the tile is merging to almost look like fabrics. And, you know, as a designer, it's very overstimulating, it's exciting, and it's a treat. It's a treat to see what's happening. Your creativity has more and more places to go now, which is wonderful.
And now I mentioned that you have a multidisciplinary background, and I believe that includes fashion design.
Well, I worked in fashion not as a designer. I design ads. Not a clothing designer, though. When I styled, I did photo shoots and did the runway shows, you know, the casting and the directing. And yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed it. Hard to do once you get married and have kids. So, you know, but yeah, I loved it. And I think fashion leads everything. And you see it in interiors, usually a couple of years after. You see it on the runway as far as colors. And I'm finding now with this digital photography and the water jet and all of these techniques that are just getting better and better, you almost see the tile become fabric and art and things that it's no longer a backsplash. You know, it's now the piece you're going to put on the fireplace and wrap around. You know, it's just really, yes, it's wonderful. If you love fashion, this is a show you need to go to. If you are a designer or stylist or whatever that works in interiors, this is where you have to just come and take it all in, because you're not going to see it at a lot of the local distributors. Not yet. They come here and then you start to see it. So really, it's exciting.
Well, I saw you taking plenty of notes as you were walking around and taking business cards, which is exactly what Coverings is for. What were some of the most innovative products or materials you've seen being exhibited at Coverings this year?
I think just the way this digital photography has just changed everything anyway with tile and stone. And I mean, let's start with the tile, porcelain tile. Like, way back when, to do a printing, you had to have a VLOX screen, you know, and then all of a sudden digital photography came. But it's gotten to a point where they are shooting images of stone that is so precise and finite that you're looking at a porcelain tile that looks like a big slab of marble, and it's not. It's porcelain tile. And then you see the machinery technological advances where they're able to make these thin. So you can hang them on a wall without it weighing 300, 400 pounds. So you're seeing the technology between photography and machinery and etching and however they're doing it. You're seeing it marry with the beauty of the products in general. And it's an explosion of geology and technology every day. I don't know how to explain it. It's just fantastic. So that is where the innovation for me this year was just over the top. I mean, they're shooting these pieces of marble and stone or onyx, and then they're photographing it and backing it into glass so you can backlight it. But they're doing it in little sections so that when you get the macro, the micros are all put together, and it's like you're looking at the actual stone. But it's on a piece of glass, and you didn't have to spend $5,000 for it. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, if you can think it, they're doing it. And it's the fact that they're thinking it is what was exciting to me. Mm. So, yeah. And then also the techniques, the finish techniques have been amazing. And then what they're incorporating, the innovation of bringing in the black lip mother of pearl and all of these other natural elements. I've purchased black lip mother of pearl, and I had to get it in England. It wasn't a common thing you could just buy anywhere. Now I'm seeing it incorporated with porcelains and mosaics, and it's like, great. They're all like, the circle's getting smaller and smaller, and it's nice. The resources are getting more plentiful for these products, so it's great.
Now, I saw you taking notes of exhibitors. Do you want to share with some of your faves so far?
Yeah. I'll tell you, the ones that stood out, stopped me in my track, is Antolini, which is out of Italy. They are really quite something. Beautiful slabs from Italy of marble and various other stones. But they have this technique, and I begged Mark Hubert, who is the manager there, and he couldn't tell me, but I tried for 2 days. But they have this amazing way of finishing these stones. They have many atypical finishes, but what they've been doing with some of these is it seems like they're isolating the striations in the stone, which is the character. So when you're looking at it, you can feel the difference. Like it's like a three-dimensional feeling almost, because you can feel where the striations are separated in the stone. And say you have a marble, it has a flame character, and they're taking it through and they're doing the stratus finish to it. They're deeper where the expression isn't, because that's mostly of the sandier, gravelly stone. So that automatically has the character pull out. And it's just remarkable. I mean, it's remarkable. For me, it was very exciting. Because when you see how they're doing the match print of the granite or the marble, it's just this incredible artwork. Really, it's amazing. So they were terrific. They are one to watch. I will watch them. And also Ellen Lando. They had amazing stuff. They have a designer who went to Pratt Fashion, and they look like fabrics. Just the water jet technology is really just given so much possibility to these mosaics, because they're precisely cut. The colors they're able to bring in there, it's just mastery. This woman, this designer, Dana, that they have, she just took it to a whole nother level for me. And I think maybe as a designer, I appreciate her designs. It's not your typical backsplash. It's art. And you're not in Italy having a mosaic artist do it. Like, she's just doing it here in America. It's fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Colorado Stone was really impressive. People will forget that in America, we have our own beautiful marbles. Very impressed with them. Beautiful finishes. They have a process where they take the marble, which is usually, it can be not the most durable, and they have a process where they're impregnating it with some type of stabilizer that fills in the pores and makes it more like a dolomite, like a denser stone, makes it more user-friendly. Anyway, again, innovation, the technology with the geology, and it's just great.
Let's take a short break. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hi, I'm Sandy Skis, author of the book Purposeful Brands: How Purpose and Sustainability Drive Brand Value and Positive Change. Based on 3 decades of experience, the book presents a clear, practical blueprint for defining and communicating your brand's purpose and, more importantly, creating alignment across your organization to drive meaningful change. As an In-Clear Focus listener, you can save 25% on a print or electronic version of Purposeful Brands by using the exclusive promo code BIGEYE25. This code is valid for all products and pre-orders and applies to Kogan Page's free paperback and ebook bundle offer. When you order directly from Kogan Page, shipping is always free to the US and the UK, which also helps us authors. So to order your copy of Purposeful Brands, go to koganpage.com. That's KOGANPAGE.com. And thank you.
Hi, I'm Michael Solomon. During my 40-year career as a marketing professor, consumer psychologist, speaker, and author, I've had the privilege of developing strategies with many Fortune 500 companies to help them connect with their customers. Now you can have access to these strategies through my online course. It's called Engage, How to Turn Your Bored Customers into Brand Fanatics. I'll show you how to apply years of research on consumer psychology to your brand or business. And as an InClear focused listener, you can receive a $100 discount on your enrollment. Just follow the link in the transcript for this podcast on Bigeye's website and use the provided coupon code to take advantage of this offer. I hope you'll join me for Engage to learn how to turn bored customers into brand fanatics.
Welcome back. Today's episode is being recorded at Coverings, the annual international trade show and conference dedicated to the ceramic tile and natural stone industry. I'm talking with Christina Rexford of Christina Rexford Designs, plus Carly Conrad and Rhett Withy, my colleagues at Bigeye. Do you feel inspired to explore new ideas for projects that you're currently working on, Christina?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it opens up possibilities. So a lot of times you feel like you're stifled, like, oh, I wish I could do something like that, but you can't because you can't match your material with what you've got in your head, So we're getting real close. So there were so many things that I've seen that, if I only had that 2 years ago when I did a water wall, it would have been so much easier to use that product than to take the risk and use that product, So there is just, it's great. Yeah, I know I keep saying that, but yes, it's very inspiring, and you're exactly right. You're at a whole new level of inspiration. How's that?
Right.
Yes.
Now, as you know, there's growing consumer interest in sustainable products and sustainable living. So I'm interested, did you notice any eco-friendly materials at Coverings?
Yeah, lots of them. You see a lot of the simulated wood products, whether they're for wall coverings or architectural elements, or even just the pavers or flooring. The tile industry has, again, with this photography, they're able to create a product that looks like wood. It's not wood. Or I was really impressed with the pavers and the plank pavers that you could do on a back patio, because you want it to be sustainable. You want doing epay, cutting down these beautiful cypress trees to get wood that's okay for the moisture and wetness, but you also don't want it to look like an interior fake wood. You want it to look like you actually used epay, teak, or some moisture-friendly wood. And there were a couple Turkish companies that just nailed it, completely nailed it, and very sustainable. They're trying to find a distributor. I hope they do, because I really want to be able to buy their products. So I'm pretty sure they're going by the end of the week. But yes, very sustainable. There'll be a lot less exotic trees being cut down if we can get these products out into people's back patios. That was the one thing I thought we were just missing a few years ago, and we're there, so that's good.
So, Christina, in what kinds of ways does attending Coverings influence your approach to selecting materials for projects?
I have a mental clipboard. So as I'm walking around, just like when you work in fashion, that would be great, and this would be great, and you pull it. It's the same thing. I've got a clipboard in my head, and I'm like, okay, that would be amazing for if I ever did this project, or this would be really nice in this other resident that I worked on, and if we do this would be great. Like, you're always matching the product with the actual project you're working on, or one that you hope to work on, or if I had a project like that, this would be what I would consistently putting things on your little clipboards in your head, if you have clipboards in your head.
Christina, do you plan to incorporate any of the design trends or materials that you've discovered into one of your upcoming design projects?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, definitely some of the water jet mosaics would be beautiful for an apron of a tub, a drop-in tub in a master suite. I'm doing a project, a new build down in Southwest Florida, and it's on the water. So there's such a femininity to some of these products that in Kosa COSA always has beautiful stuff, and so does WOW. These are other exhibitors. But COSA, they're just amazing, COSA Stone. They just get better and better and better. And they've been around a long time. But there's like a whole new femininity to the products that I've noticed. Because again, we're looking at almost fabrics here. But the colors were feminine. The tank design is just beautiful. So for a master bath, you can bring them in and it's more like art and it's inspiring.
Christina, what advice would you give to other designers who are considering attending coverings for the first time?
You have to come more than one day and prepare to be overstimulated. It's just one wow after another. You get a lot of wow at the distributors and the showrooms. You really do. But when you see it like this, it's a lot and it's great. You just have to have more than one day to do it. Because one day you want to just scan as much as you can. Next day you go back to your favorites and then you explore what you didn't get to. So I mean, 3-4 days, you could do the whole, I think maybe 4 days you could get the whole show done for a show like this year. You have to do it. You've got to do it. You've got to go.
We'll come back to you in a moment, Christina. Rhett, you're Bigeye's art director, and you've been leading the visual development for this engagement for Coverings events team. What research did you undertake before starting work on the project?
Well, this was more than a year-long process. We sent our team to the 2022 Coverings show in Las Vegas to just get the lay of the land, basically, and understand what this undertaking is going to involve. We also looked at the past trade shows for this event, previous years of Coverings, to make sure, one, we're not repeating any ideas, but also to kind of understand how they're using all their elements in different ways and where some of their challenges that we might be seeing. It's just as an outsider. We looked at other competitor trade shows. Again, make sure we're not copying any ideas on accident, but also to see some of those edges of improvement as well. And then we also just look at tile stone manufacturers and distributors themselves to kind of catch that trend of what they're doing and see if we can catch anything that we are seeing creatively that we can involve into the show campaign.
How did you approach the development of the visual branding system for Coverings?
So we took the name literally, Coverings, and thought about the process of when you're laying tile or when you're involving stone, and it's literally layering pieces on top of each other. So we took that concept and the entire creative team put together mood boards of what they interpreted that as. And then we got together and took our favorite pieces and talked it out and expanded on that idea of one layer over the other and covering different pieces of each other to create this 2023 Coverings brand.
What were your main sources of inspiration?
So we literally started at the natural element of like earth, where the rock and granite and stone comes from, water, where they're mixing the mortar or grout, and then just the actual process of laying tile or stone, because it's a wide audience that's coming to this event. It's not just tile and stone distributors or creatives. It's also the people that are laying and the work itself. So how do we incorporate all of those different audiences into a campaign where they can see themselves in the visual elements? So even like the process of taking the palette with grout and wiping it on the floor, that's how we got some of the elements that we see in this campaign.
What are some of the practical considerations you had to take into account when designing so many different marketing assets, such as the posters, banners, social media, all those print materials? I mean, as we can see on the show floor, some of these pieces are huge.
Right. So thankfully, years of experience has led up to this moment, but we tried to do as much as we can in the vector format, where vector, for if you don't know, it can be scaled infinitely. You could make a logo the size of the moon. As long as it's vector, you're not going to lose any texture or quality in it. So as much as we could do in a vector, that way it could be on as large as a billboard that's on the side of the building to as small as the trade show booth number that goes on the floor without losing any sort of quality. That was our main goal for that. And also the sheer amount of assets in the campaign concept itself. That way, if there's certain elements that can't quite fit on this shape, we don't have to use that. We can use a different element from the campaign and it still will come together cohesively.
What challenges did you face during the design process, and how did you overcome them?
It's mostly going to be the big challenge of the sheer amount of things that have to be produced for this show. Because going in, you think like, okay, yeah, we'll make some signage, we'll do some lanyards, and we're good to go. But it's way more than that. It's all of those things plus the intangibles that we don't even think about. Wayfinding, or the things as small as like a swag items like tote bags and stuff. So it's kind of important that we keep to our process and keep things organized, which we do with every client. But as long as we stay organized, then it was very smooth. And Basecamp helps with that, with client communication. Our own internal server, our own internal processes all helped with that.
I'm just curious, can you identify the smallest item that you produced and, of course, the largest?
Okay, so the largest is probably the registration walls. Yeah, which is right across from us right now. Those were probably the largest. Smallest is probably the little booth numbers on the floor.
Or the app icons.
I didn't think about that one. That's even smaller. Yeah, and even the app icons has some bit of the branding elements for this campaign as well.
Were there any specific design trends or styles that you incorporated into the visual branding for coverings to make it resonate with the target audiences?
So red is their primary brand color. When the client said that they want to keep going with red, so we had to start with that. But red is a very harsh color. So we wanted to make sure that we paired it with some colors that could lighten it up a little bit. So we brought in like a beige that paired really well with their shade of red. And we brought in this lavender color, which is also very trendy right now. And then when we pair those color elements with the typography, which we take a lot of pride in, that we feel we're very good at spotting nice typography, great fonts. And the fonts systems that we chose for this campaign just really, really makes those colors and all the elements come together.
Are there any insights or lessons learned from your experience this year that you recommend we might want to consider for next year's event?
There's always room for improvement, always, in our own work as well. And it really helps walking around and seeing how they're using things and seeing signs that like we didn't realize that this convention center even had, but they were able to utilize in a good way. That way we know for the next year to like, okay, they have these kind of signs, so let's do something even better. So as much as we are excited about doing this show, being able to walk the floor and seeing everything come to life makes us even more excited for next year's show and how we're going to do even better for next year.
Perfect. Now, Christina, since you had no access to Bigeye's designs beyond what you received as an attendee, I'm curious, do you think that Coverings advertising and marketing assets contributed to your anticipation of the event this year?
Yeah, absolutely. You bet. Because I get a ton of mail, and the piece they sent stuck out, and I grabbed it and registered the minute I got it. And usually I'll register it through one of my vendors. So I literally took the initiative and registered on my own. So it was from that direct mail piece that was beautifully done. And the colors, you're right, just perfect weights. It was just great. Looked great. It got my attention. I pulled it out, I did the call to action, kept the pocket cat.
It worked.
It worked. It did what you wanted to do.
And you parked for free.
Yeah, and you parked for
that.
free.
Yeah, which is nice. I would have paid, but I enjoyed that I didn't have to. Thank you. No, excellent effort. And I got a lot of perks, too, prior, which I really appreciated, too. Your weeks are busy, and one day bleeds into another, and you're like, oh, that's right. I kept getting some additional support from your marketing efforts, and I did appreciate that very much. It got me more excited.
That's great to hear. Well, Christina, if In Clear Focus listeners would like to learn more about your design services, where can they find you?
They can Google my name, and my house page usually pops up, Christina Rexford Designs. I have a website. It's ChristinaRexfordDesigns.com. It's in the process of being revised and renovated. And I'm on Instagram, too. So, yeah, they can just search me, and you'll find me somewhere.
Christina, Carly, and Rhett, thank you all very much for joining us this week on In Clear Focus. Thanks to my guests this week, Christina Rexford of Christina Rexford Designs, Carly Conrad, Account Manager of Bigeye, and Rhett Withy, Art Director of Bigeye. I'd also like to thank the event marketing team for hosting us at the Coverings podcast studio, with a special thank you to our on-site audio engineer, Brian. You'll find a transcript with links to the resources we discussed today on the In Clear Focus page at bigeyeagency.com. Just select podcast from the menu. And if you enjoyed this episode, please consider following us wherever you listen to podcasts and contributing a rating or a review. Thank you for listening to In Clear Focus, produced by Bigeye. I've been your host, Adrian Tennant. Until next week, goodbye.